Hey everybody, it's Gauntlet X and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and it's time for some sad Gauntlet hours. We're going to be playing a Streets of New Capenna rebalanced draft here, but I'm sad because my recording messed up for a draft I just did earlier today, which was a 7-2 run with a green-white Citizens aggro deck. It was a sweet deck, sweet recording, and then I went to edit it and it was a black screen the whole time, so that's awesome. Looks like Arena is going to be nice to us, though, and give us a rabble rousing as a consolation prize. So we'll just start with that. This card's an incredibly powerful bottom rare. It's completely unchanged in the rebalances. Still a busted card, giving you a 1/1 every time you attack with anything. Very quickly giving you a tremendous lead on the game. And if you ever manage to get 10 creatures on board, you're casting a spell for free as well. Card is completely busted, easily the pick. We are passing a Disciplined Duelist, which is another fantastic Broker's card, so we do have to be a little worried about that, sending a Broker's signal to our left, but still going to take Rabble Rousing. Busted card. Speaking of busted cards, we have Inspiring Overseer, the best common in the set, the best common that's been printed in a while in limited at all. 3 mana for a 2/1 flyer, you gain a life and draw a card. Phyrexian Rager is a pretty solid common in Dominar United, the 3 mana 2/2 that you lose a life, draw a card, and this is that, but instead of losing a life, you're gaining life, and it's in the sky. This card is completely ridiculous. It's a cheap evasive threat that makes sure you're still fueled with more plays because you are not even going down a card by casting it, so Inspiring Overseer is easily the pick here. Duskmangler's a fine finisher. Mayhem Patrol's a fine aggro card. Not a lot in the pack, though. Inspiring Overseer is very easily the pick for me there. Alright, pick 3 now. We have a Jewel Thief. The second best common in the format. 3 mana for a 3/3 Vigilance Trample, already a very good rate. It also comes with a treasure token to help mana fix you and mana ramp you. So that card is pretty busted. Very happy to take that. If it weren't in the pack, Pugnacious Pugilist is pretty strong, but that would tie us into Cabaretti, white, green, red here, which isn't a great place to be. I like to try to tie myself to allied colors. So for white, that would be white, green, or white, blue is where I'm trying to go. So for that alone, Pugilist is pretty low on my list of cards, even though it is strong. So it would be like Celebrity Fencer's pretty fine. Or like Obscure Initiate or Ominous Parcel. Jewel Thief, far stronger than all of those cards, though. Now we have a second Inspiring Overseer pick 4, easily the pick, just slam dunk, insta take that. If it weren't in the pack, Backup Agent would be sweet, or Brazen Upstart if we want to tie ourselves into a 3-color pair. Head into Cabaretti, but Inspiring Overseer is bonkers. Pick 5, we've got some very solid stuff. A little bit of a hard choice here. I'm definitely sticking to green-white with what I have so far, so I'm choosing between Skycrier and Cleanup Crew. Skycrier is a pretty solid 2-drop creature, especially if you get any Citizen Synergy cards. There are some Citizen Tribal cards that give your Citizens +1/+0, or there's the equipment that you can put on them easily. Or there's the Backup Agent 2/1 that puts a counter on the Skycrier. Those are all great ways to use this card. Cleanup Crew, though, is a really good way to stabilize and doesn't really require any work put in. It's just if you've been getting beat down or whatever, late game you just all of a sudden slam down a 6 mana 6/6 and gain 4, and it gives you main deck artifact enchantment and graveyard hate. So I like Cleanup Crew a lot. I'm going to go with that over Skycrier. I could see that being the wrong choice, though, because our deck already looks like it has a pretty aggressive curve, and we'd want a lot of 2-mana creatures to go with it, but I'm just a big fan of Ravenous Lindworm from Call Time, which was a 6 mana 6/6 that gains 4, and this is that with even more options. I just really love it. Pretty easy hold for Ransom here. This is temporary removal. It's going to lock down a creature on board until like turn 7, and whenever your opponent does save that creature, you even draw a card off of this at least. So Hold for Ransom, pretty great card. Social Climber and Galdaya Strong Armor, fine, but Hold for Ransom is pretty great. Got a Civic Gardener here, which is a great 2-drop. Very happy to take that. Even when I am a dedicated Citizens deck, I don't think Take to the Streets is particularly great. It's not one of the best like Citizen archetype cards because it's only good when you're in the lead a little bit. You're just trying to find that lethal because it's not giving trample or anything. You can still have all your stuff get chump blocked. So I'm not a huge fan of Take Up the Streets or Take to the Streets. I am a huge fan of Civic Gardener. Gives us a 2-drop, our first 2-drop, and it's a very good one. It makes it so your lands that come to play tapped can tap for mana the turn you play them. It essentially gives itself vigilance, and yeah, I think it's better than Prize Fight or Quick Draw Dagger, but Quick Draw Dagger is kind of close. Prize Fight, not really. There's not a lot of really big, really beefy creatures that can survive fights, so I don't love that as my removal spell. That being said, now the options are Most Wanted, Jetmir's Fixer, and Boon of Safety, so there's not much. We're probably taking Prize Fight this time, but I'm not that excited about it. Maybe I could try out Most Wanted. They did buff this. I think this used to be like +2/+1, and now it's +2/+2, so maybe it's a solid trick, but you have to hold up a lot of mana to cast it. I don't know, I'm probably still on Prize Fight. Broker's Hideout, great mana fixing, perfect pickup for us, we'll take that. Broker's Initiate's fine as well, but I'm going to go with the Hideout here, fix our mana. Most Wanted versus High Rise Sawjack, both of these are pretty filler. We'll take the Sawjack, I guess. We've got a little bit of flying defenses, although I don't know if it'll make the cut because we already have 2 Inspiring Overseer to try to block flyers with. Gilded Pinions versus Ominous Parcel. I'll go with the Ominous Parcel. I guess we could splash a light 'em up in red if we go Cabaretti, but that doesn't seem worth it. Take a Parcel. Probably getting cut. Take a Most Wanted that's probably getting cut. And another Most Wanted, or Capenna Express. This is now a 7/7. Sure, I'll take a Capenna Express, but again, everything we're taking at the end here is probably getting cut. Super nice start to a green-white deck here. Double Inspiring Overseer and 1 Jewel Thief. That's all we need for it to be a great start, but we have that, plus a Rabble-Rousin, plus a Hold for Ransom, plus a Civic Gardener. Beautiful stuff here. This is a really hard choice. It's an excellent pack for us all together. When you look at the uncommons and the rare, we have the green, white, blue Triome, which is wonderful. We have the Citizen's Crowbar, which is a great 2-drop creature that gives us more main deckable artifact and enchantment removal. And we have the Mage's Attendant, which is a phenomenal 3-drop, a 3-mana 3/2 that comes with a 1/1. This might be a little weird. I think Mage's Attendant is generally the strongest card in this pack, but I'm going to go with Citizen's Crowbar. The reason for that is I'm already a little bit high on 3-mana creatures, and if I see any more Inspiring Overseers or Jewel Thieves, I'm going to instantly slap those into the deck as well. So I think in the interest of keeping my curve as varied as possible, I would rather take the 2-mana card right now than the 3-mana card, because again, if I see any more Overseers or Jewel Thieves, I'll have more 3-mana plays. So let's get the great 2-mana play into the deck. Those are a little harder to come by. This pack's very bad. There's Kaldaya Strongarm, Skybridge Towers if we do end up splashing blue. Refuse to Yield is it's a trick. It's doing its thing. Make Disappear is a counterspell, but we're not in blue yet, and it's probably not worth a splash, because you want to have the mana up for it early. I'm just going to take a Speculative Dual Land here. I don't think this pack's very good for us. Looks like we're probably getting cut on Brokers from the left, most likely, but Voice of the Vermin's pretty strong. 4 mana for a 2/2 that comes with a shield counter. However, when it's attacking, one of your creatures gets base power toughness 4/4 until end of turn, so it attacks as a 4/4, which is pretty good. The shield counter is always going to be nice value. Take that card here. Initiate's fine, Pummeler's fine, but I think Voice of the Vermin's the best. It's also a good creature type, being a citizen. Here we go, this is spicy. We've got Illuminator Virtuoso, which is quite nice if we get any combat tricks. Works well with our prize fight, I guess, although it's not going to fight very well because it's small. Rumor Gatherer can be good with like Warm Welcome. That was the main synergy with the last deck that I had. I was trying out the Warm Welcome because they changed it to making 2 citizens as a sorcery instead of 1 citizen as an instant. So I had like 2 Rumor Gatherers and Park Heights Pegasus, where if you had 2 creatures enter the battlefield this turn, you'd get good value. So it was a really cool deck. Again, really sad that recording messed up, but the double Rumor Gatherer, so that often my curve was turn 3 Rumor Gatherer, turn 4 Warm Welcome to get 2 1/1s and draw a card. That was always sweet. We can take a Buy Your Silence now. Now that it's instant speed, it's pretty solid removal. Exile non-land permanent, its controller does get a treasure, so you are giving them something back, but pretty good card, and don't think we're going to be able to hit 5 colors for Briefcase. Green-white duel looks perfect, although For the Family is a pretty good trick, and we do have an Illuminator Virtuoso now. But I'm just going to make my mana beautiful here. Spar's Adjudicator, speaking of making your mana beautiful, we don't even need any blue sources to cast this because it casts itself off of filtering for that 1 mana. And it's going to help make sure our green and white mana is perfect. Love me a Spar's Adjudicators. Very good play at 5 mana as well. We did get the security bypass to go with the Illuminator Virtuoso, but I'm not going to splash it in just for Illuminator Virtuoso security bypass shenanigans. If I were blue-white at the core, I'd go for it, but I don't think I'm splashing in a bypass just for the dream. Maybe I am. I mean, the only other card I'd take here is Celebrity Fencer, which is good, but Celebrity Fencer, rabble-rousing, you know what? Either way, we're living a dream. We could live the Celebrity Fencer, rabble-rousing dream, or we could try to live the Illuminator Virtuoso security bypass dream. I think we'll go for the on-colored dream, the easier one to hit. Speaking of the warm welcome, there it is. Pretty solid card now. Although we have a Cabaret Courtyard for perfect mana fixing or another Buyer Silence. I'm just going to get a lot of removal here, get another Buyer Silence. Refuse to yield, fine trick. We could end up playing it with the Virtuoso in the deck. Take a Rocks Pummeler for another late game finisher. Not super happy with how Pack 2 went. We didn't get anything wonderful here. But if Pack 3 is anything like Pack 1, we're still going to end up with a very powerful deck. Best things we got this pack was mana fixing. Another Rocks Pummeler. I guess Cement Shoes sort of works with Virtuoso, but not really. I don't think I'm going to play 2 Rocks Pummelers, though. Probably trying not to run these parcels, but we still don't have 24 or 23 non-land cards in the deck. We have exactly 23 non-land cards now, so from now on, every time I take a card, I get to cut a card. We get to focus on just making the deck better. We've got a very mediocre green-white deck right now, but we still have a pack to go to complete this thing, which is excellent. So here, to lose Clever Inductor requires a lot of blue mana, a little difficult, probably not splashing that. For our deck, it would be double blue and a white. Yeah, a little too rough, probably not going for it. I like Backup Agent here, very solid 2 mana play. It works really well with Inspiring Overseers and Jewel Thieves. Those are great creatures to put a counter onto, as is Illuminator Virtuoso. Got a lot of good targets for Backup Agent, and it's a good creature type for us. Fits in the curve really well. We'll go for that here over the Botanical Plaza. And again, I'm really not trying to play much blue at all, so I'm not really considering the kind of nonsense blue creatures there. Got a Luxurious Libation, which is a trick and a citizen, which is cool. Works really well with the Virtuoso. Or we have another Spars Adjudicators, which is just bonkers. I really like Spars Adjudicators. I think I'm going to take another. Skycryer is also good here. Very, very good pack. I'm going to take another Adjudicators. How many creatures are we at? 12? This would be our 13th. Okay, we need to cut non-creatures, not creatures. So let's cut an Ominous Parcel. And we'll probably keep cutting those. Second Celebrity Fencer or second Illuminator Virtuoso. If I pick up a second Illuminator Virtuoso, then I can start really going after the Illuminator Virtuoso synergies, like that Luxurious Libation and stuff, if we get anything else like that. So I'll go for that, see if we can work that out. Okay, no combat tricks in this pack, but we do have a Hold for Ransom. I guess we have a Quick Draw Dagger, but that's not a spell targeting it, it's an ability targeting it. So it doesn't work that well with Illuminator Virtuoso. I will take a Hold for Ransom here. Cut the Sawjack, or cut the most wanted here. Pick 5. Ooh, Civil Servant, perfect. 2 mana, 2/3. If we tap an untapped citizen as it attacks, it's going to get +1/+0 trample. Very good aggressive rate. Now we'll cut the high-rise Sawjack, or you know what, the prize fight. We have 2 Hold for Ransom and 2 Buyer Silence. I don't think we need a prize fight. Take a Skycryer to have more citizens to work with Civil Servant. Or I can take Revelation of Power, which works solid with Illuminator Virtuoso. I think I still am looking for creatures. 15 right now? Yeah, I'm still really looking for creatures. I'm going to take a Skycryer here and cut Capenna Express. Blue-white fixing, but we're pretty much entirely green-white. Revelation of Power versus Broker's Initiate. We'll take the Revelation of Power. Can be quite a solid trick with the double Illuminator Virtuoso, potentially. We've got 17 creatures, so perfect count for an aggro deck. It says 16, but I do have a Citizen's Crowbar to keep in mind. Third Buyer Silence. First Cabaret Initiate. I don't think I'm playing either of these, nor am I going to play a Quick Draw Dagger in this deck. Just take another Buyer Silence. This might just be the deck right here. Warm Welcome's interesting. I don't know if I'm gonna go for a Warm Welcome, but it's the best option in this pack. Very solid card. Most Wanted for the sideboard. I could just slam Most Wanteds onto Illuminator Virtuosos. I think we have just a pretty consistent deck when we're not trying to do synergy things, though, that I don't think I want to go that all in on Illuminator Virtuoso. Coldeye Strong Arm could actually make the cut here. It fits into the curve kind of well if we cut one of these 2-drops. I could cut the Illuminator Virtuoso Dream because we only have the 2 really good combat tricks. Cut the Virtuosos and the tricks here would be fine. Again, they're a little narrow. They only really do stuff when we have both of the cards together, instead of being good at any point like most of our cards are. And then I can play another Buyer Silence and something else. Play the Warm Welcome. I think I just like the non-Virtuoso build better. Yeah, this just looks like a really consistent pile of cards here. I got a Sawjack I could cut. Nothing really better than Sawjack to put in, though. Maybe a Paragon with the ability to get blue sources. Really like how this fits into the curve. Any non-creatures that are great? No, we kind of put all the good ones in. Could run a Virtuoso over a Sawjack, but then I don't have any tricks to go with it. Anyway. And I already have 5 2-mana creatures. It's like 1 out of 8 cards. Because I have the 4 and the 1 Citizen's Crowbar. I guess I do have Coldeye, Strong Arm, and Voice of the Vermin to work with Virtuoso still, so sure. We'll still play 1 Virtuoso. Play that over the High-Rise Sawjack. If we pull off any of those things, it is going to be pretty nasty. But we'll see. I think this is going to be the deck. Obviously cut the 2 islands, though, for another Plains Forest. More white cards than anything else, but we've got 9 white sources, so 9 white sources, 8 green, and a Broker's Hideout. Pretty much perfect mana. We'll run it as is, mana base-wise. Alright, here we are with the deck we'll be playing today. It's a pretty simple green-white aggro deck. We have 2 Inspiring Overseer and 1 Jewel Thief, some of the best cards in the format on turn 3. For our early game plays, we've got a lot of Citizens to go with our Civil Servant to really beat down. Civic Gardener, Skycrier, Backup Agent. Illuminator Virtuoso has a couple synergies that could be pretty fun. Being able to turn into a 4/4 with a Voice of the Vermin, or being able to put some counters on it with Strong Arm could be great. And then, yeah, for late game kind of finishers, we've got a couple Adjudicators to shut off a blocker while still adding to our board state. Cleanup Crew is a really big way to stabilize and try to close out the game, and Rox Pummeler as a giant trampler. When you look at our non-creature spells, we've got some great interaction: 2 Hold for Ransoms to lock things down in the early game, and 3 Buyer Silences to get rid of threats in the late game. We have Warm Welcome for card draw, and Rabble Rousing as a pretty major bomb, the biggest bomb in the deck. So really nice looking, really consistent, just green-white Citizens aggro deck yet again here today. Similar to what I drafted earlier this morning, but again, unfortunately, I was recording a black screen, so that video does not get to come to light. It was a 7-2 run. I might have a link in the description below if you want to look at the deck that I ended up with. It was a sweet one. We had Broker's Ascendancy and everything, just all the good stuff. But yeah, still sad about that. But let's move on to greener pastures here. Let's play a full, actually recorded draft and get into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play. We have a turn 3 Jewel Thief, and that's kind of all we have for the early game, but we do have Hold for Ransom and double Buyer Silence, so we have great interaction. I am going to keep this. Can't get too picky and limited if you've got a good count of lands to non-lands. which we definitely do. The hand is only getting more awkward though. We have 4 of our 5 pieces of removal and just 1 threat. This will be weird. Luckily for us, our opponents looks like they're on an awkward start as well. A little sad to just pop out an Adjudicators without shutting off a creature, but I think I just want to curve out as efficiently as I can here based on how my hand looks. If I just get 7 power toughness on board and then remove everything they play, that's a way to win the game. So that's what we'll go for. If they just tap out for a blocker every turn, we're gonna win. We'll just hold for ransom the first, then Buyer Silence, Buyer Silence, Buyer Silence. Win the game in 3 attacks. Opponents in the think tank here, trying to figure out what they want to do. Inspiring Overseer. That's a pretty good one. It's going to draw them a card. It's going to gain them some life. But we got a pretty good draw as well, because now we get to drop a Civil Servant and get more threats on the board, while still playing the Hold for Ransom. The Hold for Ransom wasn't like necessary there, but it stops them from being able to chump block at all, so we can really just pile on in here. I just need to hit 1 land and I can cast all these Buyer Silences. Maybe since I didn't hit a land, I shouldn't have played that. Yeah, that's, we could get punished for that play if we draw a non-land again, and we did draw a non-land again. So we did get punished for that line, which is pretty brutal. 12 cards deep now, looking for the 5th land. I think we're at about a 50-50 on lands from this point on. Yeah, that was loose. I should have just held on to that, because Overseer is not blocking well, it's just chumping. Save the Hold for Ransom for something that does block well in case that we don't hit the 5th mana through the Buyer Silences. I know I have the quantity of removal that I need, but it's not castable yet. Civil Servant is very okay. Argon Modernity's fine. And there we go. So we just missed for 1 turn, so I can Buyer Silence now right there. Double block the 4/4 with 2 2/3s. Double block Civil Servant and kill it without losing a creature. I don't like that. I probably don't attack with Civil Servant. Here's what's going on. Because otherwise they double block Civil Servants. They lose no blockers. But if they do that, they take 7 and go to 5. It's a hard choice. I think I'm just going to keep Civil Servant back here. This is not a citizen, so I can't attack with Civil Servant as a 3/3. If we hit another land, Cleanup Crew's actually gotten really nasty here since they played an artifact creature. Because this turn we're going to kill the non-artifact, because the Cleanup Crew can kill the other one potentially. And they're not really going to have the mana to dump into making that bigger, because they need to play more blockers still. Jewel Thief, incredible card there. Opponent's got a really good deck as well. Inspiring Overseer, Jewel Thief, and Civil Servant over there. And Zayator's Envoy, okay. That's incredibly threatening. Say goodbye to that. Another land from our opponent. They do have 1 land that they can sacrifice to draw a card. So not flooding out too hard. They've got a Skycrier. 1 card in hand now. Enough mana to cast pretty much anything in the set. That's a little awkward. We really, really desperately just want the 6th land. This is like the one time I'm not that happy to see a rabble rousing. I'm pretty sure I still just play it. I think I need to hold on to this buyer silence when I have a guaranteed way to kill the Paragon anyway. Yeah, they have more than enough mana to buff the Paragon multiple times. No lands, no lands. Okay, well that's a little awkward. I was hoping I'd just hit a chunk of non-land cards to get that all out of the way so we could like definitely hit a land next turn. That would have been phenomenal. We did only hit 2 lands in there, so it's not like we hit a lot of them. Because everything that we don't hide away goes to the bottom of our library at random. And we want to keep lands on the top, ideally. Okay, opponent is going to sacrifice the Skybridge Towers to draw a card. They've got the mana to buff the Paragon once if they wish. And they're not going to do that because that would require sacrificing the treasure. Alright, Swamp. They're on green-white 5 color, it looks like. Splashing in stuff like the Envoy. Halo Scarab, that's very fine. Does not really change anything. Oh, look, it's a slot card. Oh, it's gone. I do the slot card derby Mario Party game. I love it. That's my favorite part of this board. You just see the little car driving by. It's so adorable. It's so adorable. It's a really nice board. Skycryer's coming in. They're going to gain a life. Oh, it's back. It's back. Yeah. Okay. We're down to 17. Oh, please. Just 1 mana. Just 1 more mana. Time for Paragon to start getting large and juicy. They can buff it twice here and make it a 4/5. If I played this game out better, I think our opponent might have just been dead by now. Because we would have hold for ransom the Paragon instead of the Overseer. Or no, we wouldn't have, because we would have held for ransom the 4/5 Wrecking Crew. So we would have buy or silenced the Paragon by now. When I only have 1 buy or silence left, I just don't want to use it on the thing that I can blow up with Cleanup Crew. I might just have to next turn. I mean, getting the Paragon out of the way lets me just start going ham with rabble rousing. Now that I have 3 attackers instead of just 1. I think no matter what I draw next turn, I'm killing the Paragon at this point. Ideally, obviously, we hit a basic land and just slam down a Cleanup Crew. But I'm going to blow that thing up no matter what. No blocks. I'd like to keep as many creatures as possible when I have a rabble rousing down. Land for turn. 1 card in their hand. Tonical Plaza. Oh, I know I can clean up crew next turn. Just screw it. Just screw it. Get out of my life, Paragon. They have no good blocks if I do this. And we get to immediately start just getting in there with the rabble-rousing. Kill shot the Virtuoso, sure. Still leaves us with a very firm lead on this game. We get to trigger the rabble-rousing next turn and cast the Inspiring Overseer for free. I'm still at 16 life to their 10. I think we're good. Opponent gets a chunky 5/5 onto the board. It's not really going to change much. Because with rabble-rousing we get to start chump attacking easily. They only have one creature that gets to kill one of ours and survive. So we just attack with everybody, let the Civil Servant die. Can just blow up the Halo Scarab for value because I don't need any more life. A little bit extra damage here. Drop a Broker's Hideout to thin a land out of the deck before I draw a card off Inspiring Overseer. And then we attack all, trigger the rabble-rousing to cast the Overseer. There's the Celebrity Fencer. If we were not already just winning off rabble-rousing. Alright, opponent is down to 3 life, but they are at incredibly dead next turn. It looks like rabble-rousing is going to take this game, and they are going to scoop it up. We will start it off 1-0. Alright, opponent on the play here. We've got Skycryer into Jewel Thief if I can hit a land, and then a lot of 4-mana stuff. A little awkward. I'm going to keep this on the draw, though. Now we've got a rabble-rousing we could maybe get out on turn 4 if I hit all my land drops. Opponent is on Maestros, blue, black, red. We did hit one of our land drops. We only need to hit one more to get a rabble-rousing out on turn 4. Corrupt Court Official. I'll probably discard Voice of the Vermin here. Celebrity Fencer rabble-rousing is not necessary, but it's hilarious, so I'm going to try to do it. Maybe Strong Arm was the discard. It's one of those two. Adjudicators. Alright, well, need to hit a land next turn. But we're hopeful. We're hopeful. Alright, well, I am not going to slam down rabble-rousing against that, so luckily I can't anyway. Gonna say I'm not going to slam down rabble-rousing when my opponent has 3 mana up and does nothing. Very suspicious. I really don't want to sack this treasure because I could have a rabble rousing coming up if I don't. Jewel Thief for Bruiser is not ideal. It's not horrible. I think I'm just going to send in Skycrier and filter with Adjudicators. Another Glamorous Outlaw, alright. Maybe their hand is all 6 mana cards? Gotta assume there's at least like one Make Disappear in there though. Inspiring Overseer. Now we have something I can legitimately play to try to bait the counterspell. I do have the mana to pay for it, so they might even sack a Corrupt Court Official here to make disappear. That would be really good for me. Oh, that is incredible. Yeah, that is phenomenal for me. We got the counterspell out of the way and killed one of their creatures. I will 100% take it. Now they could have another counterspell. I can play Celebrity Fencer first. I was going to say, if it just straight resolves, it means they probably don't have another counter. And it's a card that's legitimately pretty great to have on board alongside a Rabble Rousing. Demon's Due. Okay, so it was a card draw spell this time. Look at the top 4, put 2 into their hand, rest into the grave, and they lose 2 life. Drop a Fake Your Own Death in an island. So there are 3 different cards in their hand that weren't in there before. We know they didn't have a counterspell before, but now there's 3 other cards in there that we didn't know about. One of those is a mountain, so there's 2 cards in their hand that we have no information on that one could be a counterspell. Oh. We can still make really good aggressive plays without dropping Rabble Rousing. Like blitzing a Strong Arm here. And that gets us closer to our next land as well. And then we can just play Rabble Rousing when they tap out for an Outlaw. To be 100% safe. Counter on Fencer, 2 counters on Jewel Thief means we get to attack with everybody. We're definitely attacking with Strong Arm. We'd like it to die before the end of our turn, so we draw the card from it in case we hit a land here. Deal gone bad. They're going to mill me. It's fine. That means they must not have any expendable lackeys in their deck. Alright, we get to draw our card this turn. It is a land, so we get to drop it. Land Outlaw. Fingers crossed. Land Outlaw, let's go. And that's the play. Time to rouse some rabble. Can make a Fencer a 6/6. They can double block and kill it still. Maybe we're not quite on rousing yet. I could Adjudicators instead. I could just start slamming down Adjudicators every turn. If they want to chump with Outlaw, that's fine. If they want to attack with Outlaw, that's also fine. I don't know why they would want to do that. So Rabble Rousing next turn would give us 3 1/1s, which would make Fencer an 8/8, which they could still double block with double Outlaw, which would not be ideal. Maybe I just hold up By Your Silence. Try to ruin a double block. Ooh, okay, this is interesting. They play Revel Ruiner and Connive. Grizzly Sigil, okay. To get rid of the Adjudicators. They have 7 power. Rabble Rousing makes our Fencer a 7/7. It's not big enough. Ooh, hold for ransom Rabble Rousing. %100% hold for ransom Rabble Rousing here, right? I could hold for ransom Adjudicators instead. Then I guarantee I'm hitting for a lot. The only way I don't hit for a lot is if they chump. So, yeah. Hold for ransom Rabble Rousing. Grab a cleanup crew, I suppose. Just a big old dork. Take it all, they're down to 4. And just another ridiculous showing from Rabble Rousing there. Celebrity Fencer, even without the Rabble Rousing, kind of popping off with the Adjudicators to stay nice and aggressive, so very good stuff. Gonna be 2-0 now. Alright, here we are, game 3 on the play, and we're just getting really lucky today. Got a Rabble Rousing in the opening hand, and we have a 2-drop into a 3-drop curve. One of which is Inspiring Overseer, which helps make sure that we're seeing enough cards to get more land drops more consistently. We're just seeing an extra card this game. We've already got 4 out of the 5 mana. We just need to hit 1 more by turn 5 to get that nice and early Rabble Rousing. And there it is. All right. Got Efficient Removal to get things out of the way as well. A hold for ransom here. There's Incriminate. We sacrifice one of these creatures. I'll sack the Virtuoso. I think flying could matter more, because if our opponent just plays a 2/2, we can't get in with the 1/1 double striker anymore. Now a Civic Gardener. Tap out for a blocker here. Maestro's deck. Alright, well, sack Gardener. They're not tapping out. Do I play around? Make Disappear. If I play around Make Disappear, then they just kill my Overseer, I just lose. Because I have nothing to do. Alright, I pray. I have absolutely nothing else I can do here. I don't really have an alternate line to play around Make Disappear. If this were Make Disappear, it would have been cast already. It might be removal. They might blow up Inspiring Overseer. Inspiring Overseer or Warm Welcome are the best late game plays here. Maybe even Warm Welcome better than Overseer. 2 1/1s and draw a creature versus 1 2/1 flyer and draw a card. It's a hard choice. I'll go with Overseer. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they have instant speed removal now. Blow up the Overseer? Okay. They do not have that. Well, then we're fine for now. That was my big fear there. There was a lot that could have gone wrong there. Obviously, if they have a counterspell, Rabble Rousing gets countered. But if they have instant speed removal and they use it before I move to combat, then I also kind of have nothing. Rabble Rousing doesn't do anything if you don't have any creatures on board. So, that was almost really bad for us after the double removal spell earlier in the game. Case the Joint. Alright, they're going to draw a bunch of cards. That's super fine. Hold this Snoop for ransom. And play Drew. How is that revealed? How did I know about that? I don't remember. Oh, opponent knows about it because of their case to joint. I see. I'm gonna hold the Snoop for ransom so my 1/1s can keep getting in, which makes more 1/1s. Maybe you should hold the forest in hand. Maestro's decks do tend to run corrupt court officials. Those are pretty popular. I definitely should have held the forest in hand in case they had corrupt court official to make me discard a card here so that I wouldn't have to discard Buyer Silence. Hostile takeover. Well, I guess we just lose. Probably so. Hostile takeover, the #1 reason to be in Maestros. Pretty busted rare, on par with cards like Rabble Rousing. And it completely nullifies our Rabble Rousing. I kind of think I'd rather blitz a Strong Arm because our opponent is a removal heavy archetype here. And if I just hard cast this and then they remove it at sorcery speed, that's horrible for me. I might have wanted to play land first, so if they have a Make Disappear, I could afford the 4 mana. That's obnoxious. Yep, either way I went there, I'm not playing around something. And knowing the way it feels, if I played the land there, they would have not had Make Disappear and then just played a Corrupt Court Official this turn and killed my Buyer Silence. Like, that's one of those things where obviously, in hindsight, I play the land there, but in practice, it feels like if I had done that, they would just magically have Corrupt Court Official in hand and get my Buyer Silence. Like, I would just get punished either choice. Because either choice can very much get punished. I could just have to put it on the bottom, because if they kill Adjudicators and I put it on top, I'm now skipping another turn with no creature on board. It's gonna take a while, but Hostile Takeover basically killed us here. Big trampling pummeler. I'm done playing this game. We're not gonna get there, and it's a frustratingly long death. 3, 2 and 1? 2 and 1, I think. The worst kind of bomb rares, it feels like, are the ones that, like, if your opponent plays a bomb rare and you immediately die, it's like, alright, cool, whatever, that's fine. But if your opponent plays a bomb rare and you're like, well, now I just don't have a chance to win this game, but it also takes another 10 to 12 turns to lose, those are really rough. Cards like Rabble Rousing and Hostile Takeover. But luckily, I'm the one casting Rabble Rousing, so I don't have to get annoyed by the Rabble Rousing today. But I will get annoyed by the Hostile Takeover. Start things off with a Civic Gardener here. Play 2 2-mana spells here thanks to Civic Gardener's ability, but one of my 2-mana spells is removal, so that's not going to do anything. Jewel Thief. Very good card. We'll probably hold that for ransom to keep beating our opponent down. There is a Rabble Rousing. I do have to hit a land to cast that, because the Civic Gardener untaps during combat. I can't tap 1 mana, then go to combat, untap, and still have that mana floating. The mana's gone by the time I untap the land. Playing against green-black, they've got to be Riveteers. Green-black's really weird to see. They must just be, yeah, not drawing the red source. It's the only family that aligns with green and black in it is Riveteers. There's Jewel Thief to give us the mana we need for the Rabble Rousing. Looks pretty good. Probably actually play that post-combat. Move the Crowbar to the Gardener so I can send in and not lose a creature here. Trying to preserve my creature count as much as possible for Rabble Rousing. Uh-oh. We might be trading our Civic Gardener into a combat trick. So far it looks like a chump block, but some kind of post-combat burn or something here. Murder. Alright, goodbye, Jewel Thief. Okay, well, we got a chump block. That's pretty nice. Grizzly Sigil. Goodbye, Civic Gardener. Rogue's Gallery to pick up the 2 creatures. Let's drop down a Rabble Rousing and just start getting 1/1s galore. One-ones everywhere. Adjudicators is pretty solid. And here comes Jewel Thief, which gives them a treasure, so they have 2 mana. Like it's not going to be good enough. Buy your silence on Jewel Thief so that I can just send in 2 creatures here. I can't afford to cast Rock's Pummeler anyway. Kind of weird, but I think I do want to be able to attack with as many creatures as possible for Rabble Rousing, because it's exponential. The more creatures I get to attack with, the better. The more that stay on the board, the better. Forge Boss, sure. Only when they sack creatures. It doesn't work with treasure tokens. Good. Good. Now I have enough creatures I can attack and get 4 more and just lose 1. So we're at the point where I get to make all kinds of chump attacks. I'm going to keep getting more creatures than I'm losing. Pop my Rock's Pummeler's shield counter. And blow it up with Unleash the Inferno and blow up the Rabble Rousing. Oh no, with mana value less, so they can't blow up Rabble Rousing. Thank goodness. Now I get to casting Adjudicators in the middle of combat to shut off Forge Boss. And yeah, they're just scooping them up. Way too many 1/1s, rabble-rousing. A completely busted Magic card. It is going to win us another game. We just kind of keep drawing it. Here we are in game 5, 3-1 so far. We've got a Civil Servant on 2 to get things rolling. No 3-drop, but still a pretty good hand. Great mana, great distribution of lands and non-lands. We will roll with it. Now we do have an excellent 3-mana play. This hand is looking phenomenal now. Opponent is on blue and black. We'll see if our turn 2 Civil Servant resolves or if it gets Make Disappeared. Tainted Indulgence is the play, just a little draw spell. Then a Midnight Assassin coming down. That is a really annoying blocker. I'm going to hold that for ransom soon, but right now, don't think I am. I think I'm playing a Jewel Thief. And actually, Jewel Thief trading into that is not horrible. So I may even just play the Voice of the Vermin next turn and attack with 2/3/3 tramples and just let one of them trade into the Assassin. That could definitely be the line that we roll with. Sleep with the fishes, alright. Go to sleep for now, Jewel Thief. We do have a Citizen's Crowbar in the deck, so you'll probably wake up eventually, but for now, have a nice nap. This is a Citizen, so we do get to attack with a Civil Servant. Trade into the Assassin here, get that thing off the board. Still have double hold for ransom for later creatures. Girder Goons, alright. Blitzing it out, pretty happy with that. They'll just have a 2/2 left behind then. 2/2 is not hard to get through. Got a Sky Crier. I could Warm Welcome though, which I think is what I want to do. Get an Inspired Overseer. Alright, life totals are pretty even, and I think my board state is better. Our hand size is exactly even as well. I think I'm in the lead a little bit. Again, I'm pretty cool with these Girder Goons being blitzed all day. It means they only have 2/2 bodies on the board. Inspiring Overseer, and I still have the mana to hold for ransom, but I don't really want to hold anything for ransom. So we probably cast a Sky Crier here. Sky Crier very good with our Caldaya Strong Arm. And our Voice of the Vermin. Wow, those two things stacking up together could be a ridiculous swing in the life totals. Opponent passes turn, holding up all kinds of potential instant speed interaction. Strong Arm is significantly worse post-combat. So I am pretty sure I'm supposed to attempt to blitz it out here. I'm going to blitz so I can afford to Make Disappear, so they have to sack a creature to counter it fully. Please don't kill Sky Crier. Sky Crier is my best friend. They could have a Murder that's just destroy target creature, so I don't think I want to go completely all in on the Sky Crier, and I want to give a different creature the extra power toughness here. So I have to imagine, with 7 mana up, and them not casting anything during their turn, the plan is to just like cast a Murder here. Yikes. Well, the odds of that were horrible. But that does punish us. When your opponent's on blue-black, pretty easy to expect deal gone bads or murders and stuff like that. But they just had the exact perfect piece of interaction for us to not have given our flyer the 4 power and toughness. That is super brutal. That feels like another one of those playing around the corrupt court official and then getting hit by the make disappear kind of plays. Alright, it's alright. Opponent is still in a really bad spot here. Because I have the mana to play Adjudicators and hold for ransom. Hit for 6. And I still have more hold for ransoms, so that's probably worth it. Give the temporary lockdown to the rogue and the more permanent one to the seraph. Dig up the body, sacrifice the seraph to mill themselves 4, and return 2 creatures from their grave to hand. Goons, they got Midnight Assassin, Broker's Veteran, they have some cheap blockers. Got a Psychic Pickpocket in there as well, which can slow me down. They picked up a Midnight Assassin, and now they're going to pick up a Shattered Seraph. And they've got an Expendable Lackey engraved for another 1/1. There's the Midnight Assassin. 3 mana up. Here's the fish from the Lackey. Cool, cool, cool. Buy your Silence Civic Gardener here. Or hold for ransom Civic Gardener. They are forced into 2 chump blocks. And they go to 1. Alright, feels pretty good. Here's the Civic Gardener. Shattered Seraph is back, putting our opponent to 4 life. We will see if they have a counterspell. They do not, so they are pretty dead. Yep. That is 4 and 1. We might be able to hit Mythic in this draft. That would be pretty sweet. Pretty sweet consolation prize to losing out on the last recorded draft here. 4 and 1 now, pretty much breaking even. We are trying to get at least 1 more win here to get into the money, but if we can get a couple more wins, maybe we even make it up into Mythic. Alright, here we are in Game 6. This is a slow hand, but it has great distribution of lands to non-lands. Good interaction. Not really doing much in the early game, which is pretty awkward for us. But mana is good. The count is good of lands to non-lands. I'm going to keep it. We're just hoping to draw some 2 or 3 mana plays. We've got like 8 in the deck. Turn 2 Body Dropper. Hold for ransom, actually pretty weak in this archetype. Because they can just sacrifice whatever I put it on for value. Let's get a Crowbar down. Yeah, this is probably going to be the worst matchup we can have for our hold for ransoms, which makes the hand a lot more awkward, because it looks like it is red-black blitz. which is a sacrifice-focused deck. They are going to blitz the Plasma Jockey and just get in for damage. Probably just going to hold for ransom the Body Dropper then. Because that's going to be a 3-3 already. And definitely if I don't have a turn 3 play, which I don't, then we should just get that to not hit us. If they ever get up to 7 mana, they can free the Body Dropper from the ransom. They are on Riveteers. Voice of the Vermin is the play. Am I a big enough hater of that to just hold for ransom it right now? Weirdly enough, I think I am. I mean, yeah, we can just bounce our shield counters off each other for now. I can hold for ransom it the turn after this. Aldia's Strongarm unblitzed to make their voice very big. Do I want to hold it for ransom? Or do I want to pop a shield counter off of it and then hold it for ransom? I don't think this 1/1's going to do much. It's not going to get through the 2-3. So I could pop a shield counter off with that and keep the shield on the Voice of the Vermin. Doesn't seem horrible, but if I'm just going to hold it for ransom anyway, I don't need to pop off the shield yet. All I can do is chump block the Kaldaya Strongarm. Unless I move my equipment there. I'm at a low enough life total that I think I just want to hold back the 3-power creature with a shield counter on it, rather than hitting them for 5? Nightclubber. Well, that's funny. We have a great win rate today, but today is really just me getting got by all of the exact correct interaction. It just over and over and over again. I'm just like, I'm going to play this way, and then opponent's like, I have the perfect card for if you played that way. Great. Thanks. Love to see it. Got on a 5 here. I will pop a shield counter to stay at 7. Another Body Dropper. Ooh, this is bad. This is a pretty horrendous matchup for us. Opponent is aggroing it out hard with our slower keep, and they've got all the Body Droppers in the world to get value, even if things are held for ransom. Ooh, that I'm very fine with. Get my card out of it. Bounce a shield counter off and then just trade with that anyway. If they just pay for all the hold for ransoms, we might be okay if we can draw some gas here, some null land stuff. Interesting. So now I have to lose Voice of the Vermin if I want to block both. Sure. Lose a shield counter, lose a voice. Well, this is a little too many lands, most likely. I think we're getting pretty dead. There's another creature off of that hold for ransom. We are at 7 life. Snap trade. Because that voice really helps them go wide by making that 1/1 a 4/4, and then all their creatures are at least 2. Which gets really threatening. I don't have the mana to hold up By Your Silence if I equip this Crowbar to somebody. Which is really awkward. To make it super obvious I have something, but I think I have to hold By Your Silence up rather than making that a 3/3. This way, if they sacrifice things to give these body droppers menace, they don't just kill us. Oh my god! This is the triple body dropper deck. That is really, really bad. And now Scuttling Butler is a double striker. That trades 1 for 1 into a strong arm. That's not the end of the world. Yeah, they probably start sacrificing things because they get counters on every body dropper when they do. If I try to exile a body dropper, they'll sack in response here and get a counter on all of them. Not an ideal draw. We're looking pretty dead. They have the mana to double sack here. They have another Voice of the Vermin. Alright, their biggest body dropper has Menace. Okay. And kill those and exile the double striker. Or kill those, exile the Menacer, but then I have no creatures left. This seems better. Oh, I can use the Crowbar to kill the double striker. That was loose. I didn't even notice that till now, because that thing's an artifact creature. I could have been killing that with the Crowbar the whole time. It doesn't look like it would have mattered. We are flooding out something fierce. Yeah, now I just died of Voice of the Vermin's ability. Bummer. Could have played this one better, but I don't think a perfect line would have won this game. Especially when it's a Fatal Grudge now. Seems good. It's just gas into gas into gas at the end. 4 and 2. Unfortunately, unlikely to hit Mythic today. I'd have to win the next 3 games in a row. Quite unlikely. Here we are in Game 7, turn 2 Backup Agent. We only have a 2-lander here on the play, and we have 2 5-mana cards, 2 4-mana cards. I think it has to be a mulligan. Pretty rough mana there. This is a little better. Not a lot. We obviously have the Rabble Rousing, the biggest win con in the deck. We've got the 1 castable Jewel Thief. The Jewel Thief gives us the treasure. These are all things that make the hand better, but it's still not great here. Rakish Revelers is getting exiled onto the forest, so our opponent is on Cabaretti, green, red, and white at least. Alright, ooh, we've got an Overseer. I'd rather play Jewel Thief first. So if I hit a land next turn, then I can immediately play Rabble Rousing. Whereas if I play Overseer and I hit a land, I still don't play the Rabble Rousing yet. Rigo, Streetwise Mentor. Not a fan of that. Let's drop Overseer. Not a land. Well, send in the Jewel Thief. So every time our opponent attacks with a creature with 1 power or less, they draw a card. So if they can get, yeah, citizen tokens or fish tokens, it's going to end end up being pretty bad for us. Yikes. No land draws yet. We can hit in the sky still. I really don't want to spend this treasure if I don't have to. I can't get through the Darling of the Masses, and the Darling's going to spit out 1/1s. It does stuff even if I hold it for ransom, though, which is rough. It's still going to give the board +1/+0, but at least it won't be giving them more creatures. Okay, I'm going to hold it for ransom. I don't really want to trade into the shield counter here. They have hit all 5 lands they need to drop Revelers now. They have not missed a land drop. Apparently they've got a lot of options over there. They're just in the think tank. They do have perfect mana thanks to Revelers if they are just Cabaretti, so there's 4 other cards they could choose from. Mysterious Limousine, that's a very good one. Exiles any creature on the board, as long as it remains on board, and whenever they crew it and attack with it, they can swap out what's exiled. Right, we hit that rabble-rousing mana, so let's plop it down. And I will trade my backup agent into the Rigo's shield counter, because I'll get a 1/1 in the process. So I basically trade my +1/+1 counter on backup agent for a shield counter on Rigo, which feels like a good deal to me. Okay, here's the Revelers. That'll be multiple blockers. If they crew an attack with Limousine, they can get rid of one of my 1/1s forever, but then I get my Jewel Thief back and get a treasure, so that seems all in all really bad for them. Because then if I play a land, I can play Cleanup Crew. So I am very okay with them choosing to exile something. Okay, they're going to choose not to. They're just trying to kill me. Okay, I'll take 7. I'm at 21. Okay, Strong Arm is the draw. I really just need lands here, but I guess Crowbar can put in work as well, but it does it pretty slowly because I play it this turn. I only have 1 white source, so I don't get to play Crowbar and Virtuoso or anything like that. I feel like Strong Arm's just better because it's just faster. Helps me dig for a land towards the Cleanup Crew. They have exact lethal on the Crackback, but Rabble Rousing makes cracking back pretty much impossible. You just get a million 1/1s every time I attack. We do get to draw our Strong Arm card before the end of our turn, so if it's a land, we get to drop it. It is not a land. Opponent's at 6 life now. Very dead to the Inspiring Overseer, so they have to swap out the Overseer with the Jewel Thief here, most likely. This is a very bold attack. Must have combat tricks or something. I guess they don't die on the Crackback right now because I have 5 1/1s if they exile the Overseer. But if they exile the Overseer, I'm getting Jewel Thief back. Means they do die on the Crackback. I need to be able to attack with 5 creatures next turn to trigger Rabble Rousing. And get my Warm Welcome, so I just block 1 thing here. Do that, and I'm still attacking with 5 creatures. If they have multiple combat tricks, they can just kill me here. I guess I have a big enough lead on this game. I should just be chumping with these 1/1s. Okay, they only had the 1 combat trick, so we're not dead. Tapped land does not let me play my cleanup crew. I'm desperate for that land. We're still in an excellent position. I probably should not be complaining here. Attack everybody, cast the Warm Welcome before I do anything else. So we can see what we hit off of it. Adjudicators. Just barely afford that by spending the treasure. I'd rather just play a Voice of the Vermin. Keep the treasure for the cleanup crew. Alright, and they scoop them up, no way to get flying or anything. Probably played that a little loose. I don't think I needed to be as greedy as I was, trying to get that rabble rousing to trigger the free spell. I probably should have just played it a little safer so I wouldn't die to double for the family or something there. Just let my 1/1s actually do some chump blocking. Still had more than enough creatures for rabble rousing to win the game, even if it wasn't actually casting a free spell. So that was a little extra greedy. 5 and 2 now. Opponents is going first. This hand's beautiful. Got a Gardener, a Crowbar, and an Overseer. Opponent is on the play, though, with a turn 2 Giada, which is a completely devastating card if your opponent has any Inspiring Overseers, because by itself, a 2-mana 2/2 Flying Vigilance is an incredible deal. And yeah, if they picked up any Overseers, it's just going to steamroll us. Okay, no Overseers yet. Probably just play our own Overseer here. If I play it now, I can untap a land for Adjudicators. Metropolis Angel. Whenever you attack with 1 or more creatures with counters on them, draw a card, and it is an angel. Which is really, really bad. It's a 4/4 angel as well. Giada helped cast it. One mana away from starting to buy or silence the gigantic angel threats. Right now, I can do a whole lot of nothing. I don't even know if I move this Crowbar around. Maybe I put it on the Gardener. I think I'll just exile another Adjudicators. They're going to draw a card every turn now? Yes, they are. Celebrity Fencer, okay, not an angel. Not an angel, that's a start. So we're going to buy or silence this Metropolis Angel, because I can't really deal with them drawing an extra card every turn. I can deal with Giada eventually. I think I want to buy or silence the Angel, because if I go for Adjudicators and just shut it off for a turn, yeah, I'm expanding my board state. But if they cast another Angel, it gets 2 +1/+1 counters instead of just 1. So I think I just want to make sure that doesn't happen by exiling that immediately. Plus, if I went for Adjudicators and they played any creature, the Fencer would have a count on it, which means if they attacked with that, they'd draw a card off of the Metropolis Angel. There's that. That could be bad for us as well. Alright, Elegant Entourage. And a Social Climber. Alright, bunch of non-angel stuff. Very fine with me. I'm still getting curved out and destroyed pretty quickly. I guess it shouldn't be that fine. I'm going to have to buy or silence a Celebrity Fencer or an Entourage. Which are both horrible for me. Just shut off the Fencer as an attacker for a turn first. Blitzed Strong Arm. That's pretty bad. Make a ridiculously big Trampling Giada. Ooh, Giada is scary. Down to 2. We now 100% have to buy or silence the Entourage so I can actually chump block Giada without dying. But this isn't really a path to victory, it's a path to try to stay alive for like 2 more turns. But I'll play it out. It is very, very likely the last game of Magic for the day. And if I snap concede, it's 100% the last game of Magic for the day. Okay, we lost. Adjudicator shuts off the flyer, shuts off our ability to block Giada, just the really cheap, aggressive flying threats, pushed in for way too much early damage to let late game plays like Entourage and Adjudicators easily find those last bits of lethal. 5 and 3, it'll be a bit of a bummer. I think this deck was really, really nice. If I played a little better, maybe could have gone 6 or 7 wins in some earlier rounds, like against that Riveteers deck. Actually using the Crowbar against their Double Striker and stuff, maybe we had a little bit of a chance there. Also, not a huge fan of our draws today, but we did draw a lot of rabble-rousings in the games that we were winning to make up for it, but some awkward mana throughout as well. Yep, overall, solid deck. No really big under or overperformers. Illuminator Virtuoso didn't really do much. I guess that'd be an underperformer. And no clear overperformer. Rabble Rousing was pretty busted, but we already knew that card's insane. Very average. Kind of lukewarm draft here today. Solid record, though. 5-3, not bad at all. Just very new Capenna draft there. Very, very basic, simple Magic stuff today. So A little unfortunate. I think my last deck was way cooler. Again, this one that I keep talking about, but you just don't get to see because the recording messed up. Where it was a similar deck, it was green-white, but we had really fun synergies with Warm Welcome. We actually got to play some of the cool rebalance stuff instead of just very bland, very bread and butter new Capenna Magic like we played today. But it happens. Sometimes your recording messes up. I'm just gonna be sad about it. Yeah, not a bad run. We're still leaving with more gyms than we entered with. 5-3, solid run there. But that is going to end the draft for today. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see some more drafts like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you some more of these videos in your recommended feeds. And as always, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon for some more Magic Arena.